G'day everyone, welcome back to the vlog. Today, it's the big day. It's the first day of the Aussie Millions 2020 main event. Heading into Crown Casino now. It's about 11 AM here in Melbourne, and we're going to drive into the casino and hop straight in the main event. The emotions right now, there's definitely a bit of nerves. Of course, there is heading into such a big tournament, but I did have a good sleep last night and a good feed this morning, which I definitely think helps to calm me down. And I think it's really going to be really important for me to remain calm, because hopefully I've got 5 days of poker ahead of me if I do make it to that final table, which is obviously the goal. So obviously I'm not going to be on edge for 5 days. So just keeping calm, trying to play the best poker I possibly can is going to be how I'm going to get there, hopefully. So without further ado, let's go to the casino. All right. So here we are at Crown Casino, about to head to registration, get in the game, the main event of the Aussie Millions. First time I've ever played the main event here. Also, the first time I've ever played a tournament with a 10k buy-in. I did win a satellite ticket in, as people who follow me on Instagram know. It was a $550 with a 200 add-on type tournament, and they gave away 17 tickets. I was lucky enough to win one of them. So I'm going to cash that ticket in now to play the main event. Wish me luck. Okay, so we are on first break of the main event. I chipped down a bit. I'm on 27,400, so chipped down a little bit but not too much when the starting stack was 30,000. Part of the reason we did chip down a bit is because of this hand. I'm in the low jack with Queen 10 of hearts. I go ahead and make it 225 at 5,100, and then I get a call from a tight aggressive, I guess you would say, opponent in the cutoff, and then a loose passive player in the button calls as well. So we go 3 ways to a flop. The flop is Jack 8-6 Rainbow. The action's on me, and I actually think this is a good spot to c-bet bluff, just because having Queen 10, I do block a lot of the possible Jack Queen combos, 10 Jack combos, and also I do have a bit of a tight table image at this point, so I'm looking to use that to get some folds. I go ahead and bet 400, and then the cutoff folds, but unfortunately the button calls. So we are heads up with the button to a turn. The turn is the Jack of clubs, pairing top pair. The action's on me again, and I actually think this is another spot to double barrel bluff. Like, my same logic on the flop carries through to the turn, so it's much less likely that my opponent has trips. And if I bet big, I feel like I can get them off a lot of their weaker one pair hands, stuff like 5-6, etc. So I go ahead and bet 1.2k, then my opponent calls. So obviously not loving that. And we see a river, and the river is the 10 of diamonds, which actually pairs us up. I think the correct play here would just be to check to try and see our showdown value. It is somewhat possible my opponent is just calling me down with the jack, and if they bet, it's going to put me in an awkward spot. So, but I think that might just be the best play to check, but I sort of make a bit of a mistake. I actually bet for thin value here, figuring it's unlikely my opponent has a jack in terms of the ball being blocked, but I think I was overthinking that a bit much. But either way, I go ahead and bet 1.5k, then my opponent tanks for a few seconds before calling. I show my Queen 10, and then my opponent, he sits around for a few seconds before slow rolling me with the Queen Jack offsuit. So I think the fact that he's calling on the button with Queen Jack offsuit, my blockers to the jack not going to really be that relevant. He's still just going to have a lot of jacks in this spot. So slight mistake there that caused us to chip down a bit, but definitely not giving up. We're going to learn from that mistake and adjust our strategy going forward. Let's get back to level 2. Okay, so we've just wrapped up the second level. I'm on 30,250 chips, so definitely a successful level for me. I think the most interesting hand I played, I open up pocket 8s from the low jack, and then a very good loose aggressive player in the big blind calls. We're heads up to a flop of Ace Jack 4 Rainbow. The action checks through. Some merit to betting for protection here, but checking obviously fine with pocket 8s. Then we see a turn. It's a magical turn. It is the 8 of hearts. So we do make a set. The big blind checks to us. I go ahead and bet 400, and then the big blind calls. So we go to a river, which is a repeat 4. Big blind checks over to me again. Obviously going to bet for value here. I bet 1.2k. Big blind tanks for probably about 10 seconds before calling. We show our hand and obviously we're good there. So bit of run good in the second level. We're about to go into the third level where it is 100-200 with a 200 big blind ante. So obviously going to have to play a bit more aggressive with antes in the pot already. So let's get back to level 3 now. So just finished level 3 on break now. Played one pretty interesting hand. The under the gun player opened to 500. I call in the cutoff with a7 of spades, then the small blind, big blind call as well. So go 4 ways to a flop of Queen 6-5 rainbow. The action checks to me, and I think this is a good spot to c-bet bluff with my open-ended straight draw. I bet 800, and then small blind folds. A loose aggressive player in the big blind, he actually check raises to 1,600. Then the initial raiser folds. The action's back on me. Obviously, being min clicked, I'm getting great odds to draw to my straight, so I throw in the call. Then we go heads up to the turn, and the turn is the 3 of diamonds. Pretty big brick there. When the big blind checks, he actually checks now, the action to me. I think I have to continue c-bet bluffing. If my opponent did raise a flop with a queen or something like that, I bet he's going to look pretty strong. Like I called with pocket 6s, pocket 5s to set mine, something like that. So they're probably going to be reluctant to call. I bet here, I bet 3,500, and then my opponent sort of groans and folds his hand. So we scoop in that one. We ended up leaving level 3 with 32,000, which is pretty alright stack so far. Alright, so we survived to the first dinner break of the Aussie Millions 2020 main event, which is a pretty cool feat in of itself. Not that that's too much of a challenge when you do start off with 300 big blinds, but regardless, we did make the break. Finished up the last level with 32,500 in chips, so over the course of that level made 500. Obviously not a big gain. Didn't play too many interesting hands, just being card dead for most of the level. But we 3-bet ace king over a razor and a bunch of callers, and everyone folded. So we did pick up a nice sized pot there, but that was about it for the level. So just having dinner now, and then we'll get back to the poker. Okay, so we just wrapped up level 5, and it was not a good one. So we're going to be down to 7.7k at 250, 500, 500. So obviously not a lot of room to manoeuvre after this past level. One of the biggest hands that I did lose is there was a tight aggressive player open from the low jack. I'm in the small blind with ace queen offsuit. I 3-bet to 3.5k, then he calls. Then we heads up to a flop of king 9-3 with 2 clubs. I have the ace of clubs. I actually decide to check here. I figure if my opponent has a pocket pair, that's probably not going to fold just yet. I could continue to barrel to try and get them off it. That might be the better play, but I take the more conservative route and just check. Then he checks it back. Then we see a turn, which is the 8 of clubs, giving us a nut flush draw. I decide to poke at it a bit here, have a c-bet bluff. I bet 4,000. Then the opponent calls, and the river is the 4 of spades, so obviously no help to us. And I actually decide to bluff 7,000 here. I figure if my opponent called the turn with a hand like pocket jacks with a club, pocket 10s with a club, this bet will probably get rid of those hands, or at least put them in a 6th spot. Unfortunately, my opponent snap calls with ace king with the king of clubs, so obviously not going to be able to get him off that hand on this board. But yeah, we lost a lot of chips in that one. Then there was another hand where the disaster just continues. I am in the low jack with ace jack offsuit. I raise it up to 1,000. Then I get a call from a tight aggressive player on the button and a tight aggressive player in the big blind. So we are 3 ways to a flop of jack 6-5 with 2 spades. The action checks to me. I go ahead and c-bet 1,500. Get a fold from the button, and then the big blind makes it 3,500. I decide to call there. Obviously not looking to fold my top just yet. And we see a turn, which is the 4 of diamonds. Then my opponent moves all in for 8,000 effective. Obviously not liking this situation. Straight draw did get there on the turn. Obviously if my opponent flopped 2 pair or a set, I am in very, very bad shape. So I actually just decide to take the conservative option and just fold my ace jack there. Just don't want to risk my tournament life with 1 pair when I could be drawing dead to a straight or a set. And then I fold my hand, and then my opponent shows me the Jack of Spades. Oh, that's the most brutal card for him to show me. I think the chances that we were chopping are very high, but he could have been just overplaying like a King-Jack type of hand. So obviously pretty gutted he showed that card in particular. But yeah, and then I paid the big blinds after that, and I'm down to 7.7k. Moving into the next level, obviously an awful level for me, but decisions are very easy moving forward from this point. I'm really, really hoping to get an update to you guys after level 6. Hopefully I get a double up, or I steal a few blinds, or something goes my way in the next level, and we get another report out to you guys, and I don't lose day 1. Alright, with that out of the way, let's get back and play level 6. Alright. I'm back in the car park, so you know that means GG on the tournament. Obviously it was down to my last few blinds. The tight aggressive under the gun player opened up for 1,500 at 250, 500, 500. So 3x. The action gets to me in the cutoff. I have pocket queens. I have 7,000 in my stack. I rip it all in, the action gets back to me, and he snap calls with pocket kings, and unfortunately we can't get there on a king high board. So that's GG for the tournament. We are out. I am going home now to rest up, lick my wounds a bit. G'day everyone. It is now Sunday afternoon, so 2 sleeps removed from my bust of the Aussie Millions 2020 main event. I recorded a gameplay grade on the evening directly after busting the main event, and I gave myself a D. I think though I was a bit on tilt after busting the tournament, and I was probably being a bit too harsh on myself, so I wanted to re-record this bit and give you a better sign out now that I am much less tilted from busting the main event. For the event itself, I wanted to give myself a gameplay grade of C+. Obviously, I was not happy with a lot of the plays I made. I sort of went through the hands a bit rushed before, but I think the biggest mistakes I made on the session, I don't like my thin value bet with the Queen 10 in the first hand we went over. That's way too thin, I should just check. The Ace-Jack hands, the penultimate hand I showed you guys where I folded the turn. I think I should just be getting it all in on the turn there. I was playing a bit too timid and scared of busting, but obviously the fact my opponent is capable of overplaying a hand like top pair there, I should just be getting it in because he could have a flush draw as well. Even though the turn is a bit scary, I should just get it all in there and not worry too much about busting, particularly when I'm only going to be left with about 12 big blinds for the next level. Sorry, it would have been like 14 big blinds, still not much. And then the biggest mistake I made was that ace-queen hand where I 3-bet out of the small blind against the low jack. I absolutely think I should just be triple barreling that hand all day, every day. It is the best hand to triple barrel with. I think my opponent has a lot of hands in his range that are going to call twice and then fold on the river. I think, to be 100% honest, with ace-king, I don't think I'm ever going to be able to get him to fold that hand specifically, but I think that's the strongest hand he's going to call me with. And if he has king-queen, I think he's folding pocket jacks with a club, pocket tens with a club, etc. I think he's folding all of those to a triple barrel, so it is a very profitable bluff if I go 3 streets, but again, it was like the ace-jack hand. I was just too timid, scared of putting my life on the line by bluffing off my stack, and I think that was just a general overall theme of how I played on the night, and that's why I can't give myself that high of a gameplay grade. I was just playing too scared money. I was worried about losing the tournament on day 1. I even said that in one of my updates on the break. But I think that's a silly concern. The chances of me winning this tournament against like 1,000 runners are so low anyway. I just have to take those risks and not be worried about busting early in the tournament, because if it happens, it happens. I just can't be that worried about it. And I think overall that was the biggest mistake I made in terms of my mentality. But there is a silver lining, because at the end of the day, when I come back next year and I play the main event, I'm not going to play as timid. If I notice a good spot to go for a triple barrel bluff, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to risk my life by going all in a thin spot or in a spot where I'm bluffing, and I just have to take those risks if I have any hope of making it towards the end. And obviously, it's a bit disheartening to lose the main event, but I gained a world of experience that I'm going to come back with again next year and try and kill it. And of course, the other positive, I already said this on my Instagram story. If you guys don't follow me on Instagram, at Leigh Bets, go follow me now. But just the overwhelming support I got from people on Instagram. I literally got dozens of people sliding in my DMs over there, wishing me good luck, telling me they were rooting for me. And you know, I felt the support. I really did feel it through my little phone screen here. I just felt the support from you guys, and I really, really appreciate that from you. So if you did that, thank you. If you watch my vlogs, thank you so much. It's greatly appreciated. Your support means the world, and I'm just going to keep making these vlogs for you for the rest of January. Aussie Millions 2020 challenge. I'm going to knock it out for you guys because I really appreciate all of your support. So just again, thank you guys. For now, I'm wrapping up this vlog. I got to get back to the Aussie Millions 2020 challenge, grinding some 2-5 today, so I'm going to get out of here and go do that. Thank you so much for watching yet again. I'm out of here. Peace.